This week's video is brought to you by the Weightlifting House wrist straps. The link to grab a pair of these is down below. Alright, welcome back guys. I wasn't actually going to necessarily do this video, but I had a lot of people sending me requests due to the ridiculous amount of content, unprecedented amounts of content really, coming out surrounding Lasha and his training in the build-up to what is set to be the most impressive stage for potentially any weightlifter ever. Lasha, the 500 kilo total, is it going to happen, is it not? If it is, this might be the time. He's got just over a month until the day in which he steps onto that platform and gives us what we all hope to see. So let's first off give thanks to two people. One, we have Alexei Turokty, Warm Body Cold Mind, for heading over to Georgia and getting some great footage. And then the other thank you is to Dr. Georgie, who is the physiotherapist, the guy who helps Lasha in and out of training, who's also been putting up some great footage of him recently. I think before we get into some of these lifts, and if you want to just go straight to them, skip forward, there's timestamps down below for you. But what I'd like to do very quickly is just look at the gold medal winning performances from 1980 until now from the Olympic Games in the super heavyweight class, just to see the kind of total that would normally win. So in 1980, Sultan Rakhmonov won the Olympics, 195, 245, 440 kilos. 4 years later, in 1984, bear in mind the Soviet Union boycotted this Olympics, Dean Lakutin won with 412.5 kilos. In 1988, Alexander Kurlovich in Seoul, Korea, 212.5, 250, 462.5. 4 years later, now not representing the Soviet Union, but representing the United Team, Alexander Kurlovich won again, 205, 245, 450 kilos. Next, we reach more so the modern era. 1996, 197.5, 260, 457.5, Andrei Chmerkin. 2000 in Sydney, 212.5, 260, 472.5, Rezazadeh. 2004, Rezazadeh again, 210, 263.5, 473.5, although technically 472.5, because they don't count the 1 kilo jumps that you would make to go for world record attempts back then, because of course back then every jump was a factor of 2.5 kilos going up. You couldn't take small attempts unless they were for world records. 2008, Matthias Steiner, 203, 258, 461. 2012, Behdad Salimi, 208, 247, 455. And then in Rio, the last Olympic Games, the first time we really saw Lasha as the obvious best on the field, 215, 258, 473, Olympic record. So the heaviest snatch we've ever seen at the Olympics is 216 kilos from Salimi. The heaviest clean and jerk we've ever seen is 263.5 kilos from Hussein Rezazadeh. The heaviest total we've ever seen is 473.5 kilos from Hussein Rezazadeh, although the history books will say 473 by Lasha, due to the world record attempt that it took for Rezazadeh to hit the 473.5. So of the Olympic record at 473, Lasha's world record total at 485, and Lasha's, as far as we know, training total at 495, there's just 5 more kilos to be found for the mythical 500. And here's what he's done in training recently. So Lasha posted this the other day. He called it a double clean and jerk at 255 kilos, which got a lot of us extremely excited. I don't think it is a double. I think it's 2 singles. A double would be maybe a little bit too much. But let's just watch this 2 singles. So while we watch this, just to put it into context, this is 11 kilos less than the heaviest clean and jerk in competition ever. It's 15 kilos less than his personal record of 270 that we know of. And it looks like a warm-up act. His second single. And you can see in the comment section, Behdad Salimi with the thumbs up. Very fast under the bar, very fast up with the bar. And certainly we're seeing improvements in the jerk, which we know is Lasha's weak point. If this was a snatch and clean competition, we'd have seen the 500 kilo total by this point. There's no doubt Lasha can clean, over 270 kilos. How far over, I almost hesitate to guess. The comment section will almost certainly rinse me for even positing a guess. But I'd probably say somewhere, honestly, around 280 kilos. Next, and again, this one, thanks to Dr. Georgie for posting this, we have a bit of a complex, and we don't see complexes from Lasha particularly often. He's a pretty standard snatch and clean and jerk guy. The furthest variation we tend to really ever see from him is either a muscle snatch in the warming up or just no foot variance in the snatch. Here we have a 180 kilo power snatch plus low hang snatch. What's nice about this is we've seen Lasha catch snatches high, and we've been able to sort of infer from that what he might be able to power. But this looks like he's actually trying to power snatch this as high as possible. 180 kilos, and he catches that. You know, that's the kind of height that a CrossFitter would catch a snatch during a WOD that involves 30 power snatches. There it is again. Barely has to have any flexion in the knee or the hip to get under that and fixate the bar. Then low hang, and again, a very easy snatch. So looking at this, you can tell that he can obviously power snatch 200 kilos. We've seen him snatch 200 kilos, not attempting to power and land above that position. But here, Lasha's in phenomenal shape. And then this is where things start to get really spicy. We see a double at 180, we see a double at 195, then nothing in between there and 215. Presumably they just missed filming those lifts. I imagine he took a double at 205 or something around there. 215 for 3 singles. Now, there are only 4 lifters ever to have snatched over 215 kilos in competition. He's one of them. And here he is just doing 215 just for casual singles in any random training session. And again, shout out to Dr. Georgie for this one. So here's the 180 double. We'd just seen him power snatch this just days before. Here's the 195. And again, these are just total warm-up weights for him at this point. And to be fair, we are significantly still below 90%. And then here we are. Here's the first of 3 singles at 215 kilos. There was a time in weightlifting, you know, certainly when I joined the sport 8 years ago, 9 years ago, something like that, where you would never see a 215 kilo single. I mean, we saw Krastev do it way back in the day with the 216. And then in training, we saw Lovchev go off blocks. We saw Lapikov obviously doing those kind of weights. He did a 210 double, but it was so rare that we would see anything like this. And now 3 singles in one session it's hard to wrap your head around for someone who's been in the sport for as long as I have. And there are people who've been in the sport far longer than I have as well. Let's watch these again. Here's 215 for the first single. No technical fault, no stepping forward, no pressing out, no depression of the scapula. There we go again. And if Lasha's going to miss, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be some kind of scap drops, elbows wobble, and he'll get a no lift. And there's a third rep, and again, just picture perfect reps. Next, we have 260 kilos. So again, this is 10 kilos below the most we've ever seen from him. It is only 3.5 kilos below the most we've ever seen at an Olympic Games from the great and powerful Hussein Rezazadeh. We've got 2 angles of this. This one posted by Lasha himself. 260. Not a problem. And the comment section is always lit whenever Lasha does something good. It's always a good time scrolling through and seeing what people say. Fernando Reyes there with the monkeys. Gotta love it. And then same lift, different angle. This one by Dr. Georgie again, 260 kilos. And look at the height on this. Absolutely stunning. He catches it so high up, he's able to ride it down, get a smooth bounce out of it. And like we said, he's been working on the jerk so hard, and you can really tell there. In fact, let's just take a freeze frame on the jerk on the next one. Just look at the positions. But he's always been the kind of guy who actually, he tends to land first foot or front foot first, which is not the go-to. He's getting a whole lot better at it. But that position there, heels slightly out, toes pointed slightly in, weight in the back leg, front foot sticking out. I mean, that is just such a nice position. That is the position of someone who's going to clean and jerk 265 kilos, maybe 267, the mythical one, to finally beat Leonid Taranenko. If you want my prediction for this Olympic Games, I'm concerned about the 500. I'm not saying it won't happen ever. I'm just not saying it's going to happen this time. 223 in the snatch, that's an all-time record. 267 in the clean and jerk, that's an all-time record. 490 kilos in the total, it's an all-time record. Let me know what you think is going to hit down below. Before we go anywhere, the final lift, the final thing I want us all to check out is Lasha squats. Now, we know he doesn't do front squats, so all we really have to go off in terms of his leg strength is back squat. And again, we've never actually seen him go heavier than this, but this time instead of a double, we are honored to watch a triple, 325 kilos. I would say he's moving this like you might move 80% if you move 80% somewhat fast. Looks like he could have done, you know, maybe a set of 6, a 4x4, that kind of workout. Of course, he wouldn't have done that. He probably had 1 or 2 top sets here. Focuses far more on speed, on velocity of the barbell than he does just maximal force production, as is weightlifting training in general. But he certainly looks like he's capable of sticking on, you know, perhaps another set of 25s, adding 50 kilos on there, and hitting it for a pretty strong single in the squat. Alright, that's where we'll wrap that one up. Guys, I am uploading a video to Patreon this week. It is Tian Tao, it is Li Daiyin, and it is Tian Fujuan onto the Patreon. Their training session, they go pretty heavy in the clean and jerk, I think. That'll be on the Weightlifting House Patreon page. I'll put the link down below. Also, the Weightlifting House wrist straps are here. They are sick. They've got this gorgeous 3D printed rubber Home of Weightlifters logo there. Extra strong. We put in a lot of work on the reinforcements to make sure that these things don't show any wear or tear over the course of a training career. So I'll put the link to that down below also. I hugely appreciate you all tuning in, and I shall catch you all on another episode of the Weightlifting House YouTube show.